Here's a little tutorial on how to make a simple quiz using Edge Animate for my thesis boy, Jagger, and I hope the rest of you can use it as well. I've started with a simple Edge Animate, nothing special, just open up, made a new one. What I'm going to need for this is jQuery scripting. So I'm going to jump over to jQuery.com, push the big download button, and I am going to roll to the compressed jQuery product. Now the reason I'm doing this is because this particular end product is going to end up in an ebook, and I'll need to have this in the ebook. However, you can do this online as well. It can be done through a browser. And what you can do with that is very simple. You can use the CDN if you want. I'm going to do that. And holy shit, now what do I do? It's very simple. Go up and go File, Save As, choose the page source, and it gives you the CSS. I don't know why. Just delete that and make sure it just says jQuery whatever number min.js. That's all you need, and you can save it. I'm saving it to my desktop. Done. Close that up. So I'll come over here now to the script, and I'll hit the plus sign, and I'm going to get this from disk, and I know it's on my desktop, so all I got to do is find it. Here it is. Open. Yes, and it's there. Great. It's now going to be all this. Now I'm going to also save this before I go any farther. So I'm going to go save, and I'm going to name this, I'm going to put this on in my documents. I'm going to name this My Quiz. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to make a new folder for it, My Quiz. I'll name it the same thing. It'll make it easier for me to find it later. Created the folder and save. All right, so everything's going to be saved in there, whatever I need. And this script over here will actually be placed in there as well. Now, I didn't give this a title. I need to. And I'm going to call it Quiz 1. Walter, go away. Quiz 1. Because you may make a lot of these, so having a title on it makes it real easy. All right, that's it. That's so far. We're done. No, we're not done. We need to create the actual quiz. And let's just set up the boxes. Then we'll set up the coding after that. So here we go. I'm going to grab the text tool, and I'm going to drag out a box. And for the time being, I'm just going to put some holder text in here. And that would be the question you want to ask. So you can type anything you want in here. Question you want to ask. At this point, you can. What I do is I would drag this edge to edge, close to the edges I can get it anyway, and I would leave this left justified. And if I wanted to, I could choose a new font, but that's up to you. If you want to choose a font, there's plenty here. Plus, you can always add a font just by clicking here and look through here, choose what you want. But I'm going to leave it the way it is for the time being. I highly recommend you name this. Each one of these layers needs to be named. I would call this the question. Now, the reason I'm naming things is because it will make it so much easier in the end to get everything, figure out where things go. All right, so now this is going to be a multiple choice test, easiest test you can give. So I'm going to figure out how this lines up. And I'm going to start here, click, new one. That's not new. I'm going to click, grab my text tool, let's try it again. Click, and I'm just going to type a big old A. That's it. I'm going to leave it the size it is, and I'm going to adjust the box a little bit. All right, so I've got A, and I'm going to name that A. Now here's the trick. So I don't have to keep typing this over again, and I want it to line up. All I'm going to do is click this once, hold my Option key, and drag straight down, and it'll make a duplicate. And then I'm going to do it again. and then I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to have 4 possible answers. Then I'll go back and change these. So the text in here would be, of course, B, and I would name this B. I'll do the same for each one of these. I know it's a little time consuming, but you'll be happier in the end. And C, and we'll do the last one will be D, D, and we'll make sure that's named D. D. All right. Easy as can be. We can make these a little farther out if you want to. I'll drag this straight down, give it a little more space. Now if I want these to go evenly, all I have to do is select all of them, come up to Modify, Distribute, and we'll distribute vertical centers, and there you go, nice and evenly matched. There you go, A, B, C, D. What more could you ask, right? So each one of those is named their letter. Grab the text tool again. Now I'm just putting generic answers in here. I'm just going to stretch this out all the way to make sure we have enough room. And I'm going to type in here answer, I didn't want all caps because that would look bad. ANSWER 1. Okay, answer 1. So you would put answer 1 in there, and then 2 and 3 and 4. So I've done that, and of course I'm going to change my layer. In this layer I'm just going to call ANS_A, answer A, so they fit. I'll click that, hold my Option key again, and drag down. Get them lined up. Drag down again. Get them lined up. And drag down one more time. Get them lined up. Let's do a little housekeeping. Instead of 1, it would be 2. This one would be ANS_B. We'll do it again. 3. All right. And this would be C. And this is the last one. We'll call it 4, of course. I could name it D. You can, I mean, literally, you can name it anything you want. 4. And that would be answer D. All right. So far, so good. We have our stuff. Now, what I do with each one of these is so that they're all one piece is I select both of them, both pieces. So I need the arrow key, and I grab and I'll just drag around this one. And I'm going to go Modify, and I'm going to group my elements. And the first group I'm going to call group A. We have a pattern. And we'll do this one again, Modify Group, and we'll change that to Group B, and then we'll do it again, Modify, and Group C. And what this, it just makes it a little easier for you in the long run. That's all. That's all it's going to do. So that things kind of stick together when you copy. They're not all over the place. That's about it. And then we'll call group 4. We'll change that to group. Come on, baby. Give me a group D. Group D. So now we have everything grouped together. Great. So far, so good. Next thing we need to add. Well, we're going to need a next button because every time you answer the question, you're going to have to go to the next one. So I'm going to just grab this. And I will put the word right over here. We'll put next. And I'm going to just put a arrow, caret, so people know what they're supposed to do. Simple as that. I will name that next, of course. Pretty simple. All right, so that's done. Now we need a scoring mechanism. And, you know, people want to know how they're doing. So we're going to have a cumulative score, and then we're going to have a final score. So let's do our cumulative score. So the first thing, I'm going to line it up here, and I'm just going to type the word in, score. There you go. It's a little close to the bottom. I think I'll pull it up a little bit. Let me just move that up. I want it to kind of line up with that. We'll make the box a little bigger. There you go, score. Okay, certainly easy enough. And I'm going to grab another text tool. And I'm going to make a box. And I'm going to type a 0 in there. And I'm going to name this box correct, because this is going to be the correct answers, right? I better line that one up too. Just get those all lined up nice as best we can. There we go. Now I need another text tool. Just drag that there. And all I'm going to put in there is a little divider. That's it. Doesn't even need to be that wide. And I'm going to get those all lined up at the end. I'll grab, and you know, I named this too, believe it or not, I named this too, and I'm going to just call this divider. Divider, there you go, divider. And then again, one more text box, bink, right there. I'm going to type a nice big 0 in there. Whoops, 0 in there. And then I'm going to name this total questions. Total questions. And I got to line this stuff up because, you know, this is a mess over here. So what I can do is I'll grab all these just like that. And I can do modify, and I can align, and I'll line them on the top so everybody's lined up. And then I will just nicely distribute them, vertical centers. It looks lovely. There we go. And I think I want to move that one just over a little bit, not a whole lot, just there you go. And there's your score. And that's everything we need for our first question. I want to save all this, so I'm going to go save. Everything's saved now. Command S will do it, or you can go File, Save. Now I need to do is I'm going to need to make these a total number of questions. And I could have as many questions as I want. So what I'm going to do is the first question. There are parts I don't need to reduplicate. The only ones I need to continually duplicate, and I'm going to select them, are these. The score and the next do not need to be duplicated. Just these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my playhead to 1 second. Go edit, and you can see duplicate, and we're going to duplicate everything. Now this can get a little tricky. Even though we've duplicated everything, we don't want to see everything. And you'll notice that what it's added to all these is the word copy. That's fine. That's fine. So we want to come back to 1 second to 0, and all these are selected. We're going to go up here and we're going to turn them off because we don't need to see both questions at the same time. We only need to see them when we want them. Then we will drag them forward to 1 second, and we will, and I'm only using 1 second because it separates them nicely and I can see it. We're going to turn them on so we can see them. Then we're going to drag forward to 2 seconds. And we're going to turn them off. Now the reason we're doing that is so that when we start in the beginning, the only question we see is question 1, which is this group down here. These are all on. When we come to, we're going to drag this, we're going to select all those original ones that we did, start here. If you hold your Shift key and you go all the way down to question, that'll select them all, and we're going to turn it off. That way we won't see the first question. So we're only going to make 3 questions here. I would make 5, but 3's plenty. You'll get the idea. So we'll go back to 0. And I'm going to just make another copy. I'm going to grab my, start with questions here. Select everything I want to copy, which would be all the way up to group D. I'm going to drag my playhead forward to 3 seconds. Notice there's 2 seconds. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go edit, duplicate. And I'll duplicate it. Now they're all turned off because I was using that particular thing. But on the 1 second, so now what I need to do with my next copy is just turn them on. Boom! Everybody's on. So now we have 3 questions. We have question 1, question 2, and question 3. Yes, I know they all look exactly the same, but you can tell when you drag the playhead when things turn on and off, which they are. Okay. We need to add something else to the timeline. Now here's the thing. We just can't let this play because it'll just flip through and you'll not get one question after another and after another. So what we need to do is go to the timeline and we're going to insert a trigger. And the trigger is going to be playback, stop, stage, double click, done. Then we're going to drag to the next one. There we go, timeline, insert trigger, playback, stop, double click stage. There we go. And the last one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go oops, wrong one. Timeline, insert trigger, playback, stop. Good. So they're all each one will stop at each question. And you can modify, remember in the question you could type in question 1, question 2, question 3, whatever. Now, after we've gotten through all our questions, we're going to go 1 second further. And we're going to turn everything, make sure everything is turned off. You can see that group 2 is, find our group 2, the beginning of group 2 right here. And we'll go all the way down to question. Hold the shift key. And we're going to turn those off. So we should see nothing. That's because here at 3 seconds, we're going to add something completely different. And now for something completely different. And I'm going to scroll up to the top of this. Just below, just here, I'm going to click this. And I'm going to start adding a couple things. I'm going to add some text. I'm going to click. And I'm going to drag out a text box. And in this text box, I'm going to type, your score is. And then 1, 2, 3 dots. Okay, your score is. And of course, I'm going to name this. I'm going to name this your underscore score. So your underscore score. There you go. That's the name of that one. And then I'm going to make another. I'm going to grab a text box. And I'm going to draw a big. That's a little bigger than I want, I think. I think I better fix that. So let's score it. Let's pull it up a little bit. And I'm going to type in here, I'm going to type in 0. But I'm not going to make it that small. I'm going to make that thing huge. Now look at that. It's not doing anything, right? Right, it's because it wasn't selected. So select it and just drag it out till it's as big as I kind of want it. And I'm going to center it. There you go. Your score is 0. Now, I think I'll go ahead and click off that for a second. And all I want to do at this point is I'm going to make it a little smaller. So I'm going to come over here to height and just scrub it up a little bit. That's all. And I can drag this up a little more. Because I'm going to need some space underneath here. And I'll click that 0. And of course, I'm going to rename that too. And I'm just going to call this final score. And then I'm going to put one more piece of text. Drag out a text box. And in here, I'm going to type whatever you want. But in this case, I'm going to write, if your score is below 2, you can pick whatever you want. So I've typed in below, if your score is below 2, go back and reread this section. Now you'll notice I'm out of the box and stuff. So let's do a little moving around, little box repair here. So let's move this up a little. And I'm going to expand this box. Now I can do it just by dragging the height down right about there. Okay. That's pretty simple. And of course, I got to rename this too because I've been renaming everything. Absolutely. And I'm just going to call this advice. Now, if someone goes back, it's up to them. You know, you decide. Now, you notice that the score is still down here. And I can leave that on. I'm going to just even it up a little bit. Okay. That's it as far as the layout goes. Save it. Now, nothing happens. If I go test this in the browser and go File, Test in Browser, and you'll see that that's on top of each other because I didn't turn it off. As you saw in the browser, this is overlapped. So what do I have to do? I have to choose these pieces, which would be your score, final score, and advice, and I got to hide them because you don't want to see them. So I'm going to come up here and where I'm going to turn them off, or not on that one, but I've got to come all the way over here to the very beginning, to the 0, and turn them off. They go away. And then I'll drag them all the way over here. Still selected, and I'll turn them. Whoops, I turned them on. I didn't want to turn them on. I wanted these to be off over here. Silly me. Turn them off. There we go. See. So now that I've turned them off in the first frame so you can't see them, I'm going to drag my playhead all the way over. Yes, it is. It's going to drag with me. Drag. There we go. So now that I've dragged my playhead all the way over to 3 seconds, all I'm going to do is turn this back on. Because what will happen is when I'm on frame 1, I've got question 1, question 2, question 3, and then final score. Not bad. I'm also going to add here on the timeline a stop. So I'm going to insert trigger and do what we did before. Playback, stop, double click, done. I like that part of coding. All right, so that's all the easy part. I know you're going, oh shit, that was the easy part, yay. Now we're going to do the hard part. And what this is going to do is it's going to be some coding, jQuery type stuff. So go to Window, Code, and you'll see here's all your triggers. We haven't done anything else. We have to do the big code. So across from the stage, click the plus sign, and you want creation complete. Normally we work somewhere else, but this is what we're going to do. So first we have to set up a couple variables. And variables are just like suitcases, they hold shit. So I'm going to type var, which indicates a variable, var, and I'm going to name mine the count because this is going to keep count of how many questions are answered. And I'm going to put an equal sign, 0, and a semicolon. That's my first variable. My second variable, var, because this can change. I've only got 3 questions, but you could change it to whatever you want. Total questions, remember, total questions equals, and in this case we only did 3, so I would type 3 and a semicolon. Okay, that's it. No, that's not it. Now comes the coding part, like the hard part. Because this is Edge, we start with SYM. It's part of the program, dot, and then we're going to take a $sign. Now we're getting into a little jQuery, open parentheses, and then we're going to put open double quotes. And remember, we created that field called total questions. So we're going to write total questions, total questions, close the double quotes, close the parentheses, dot HTML, open parentheses, and then because we have a variable, we can just type in this right here. Actually, I can just copy it, total question, and paste it in here. And then I'll close this, and I'll do a semicolon, and watch what happens when we test. Notice that the 3 questions comes up here. That's how we're using our variables. Okay, I'll jump back. So we placed our total questions, and each one of these can be different, depending on what you're trying to do. So let's do this again. So let's finish. We're going to do a SYM, because as I said, this is Edge. And we're going to type, we're going to create a function, and we're going to name it show score. Right? Okay. And that's an equals and function. And we're going to pass it a parameter. You'll see what parameters are in a minute. This takes a little while. Add score, because we're going to add the score each time. Close the parentheses. Open some curly braces. Hit return, and you'll notice it automatically puts that curly brace in for you. That's a blessing. Now we're going to type the count, which was the variable we did, equals the count again, plus add score, which is the parameter we're going to pass to this. I know it sounds tough, but it really isn't. Semicolon, new line. Then we're going to type SYM dot $, open parentheses, open double quotes, type the word correct. Remember, we named that field where the correct ones were going to be. We're going to close the parentheses after that. We're going to dot HTML, open parentheses, and we're going to put the variable the count in here. Close the parentheses, semicolon. We got one more thing to put in here, and that's going to be SYM dot $, open parentheses, open double quotes, final score. Remember that big 0 we had? That's the final score. Close parentheses, dot HTML, open parentheses, and we're going to put the count in there as well. Close parentheses, semicolon. And there you have it. That's how that's going to score this particular quiz. All that's left to do at this point is to show what the correct answer is and to move to the next question. So if we were going to say question C were the correct answer, which means A, B, and D are wrong. So I'm going to come over to first make sure this is dragged over to the proper position. I'm going to go to my original group because this was the group 1. I'm going to go right here across from where it says group A, and I'm going to click. And on click, I'm going to have it do something. And what I'm going to have it do is turn red, meaning it's wrong. Okay, so all I have to do here is go SYM dot $, open parentheses, open double quotes, and I'm going to type in here group A. Close double quotes, close parentheses, dot, CSS, open parentheses, open a curly brace, something new. And I'm going to open some double quotes, and I'm going to put background. That doesn't spell background. Background. Hyphen color. Close quotes. Colon. Open quotes. And I'm just going to type in the word red. I don't have to do any hex, nothing. Close your curly brace. Close your parentheses. Semicolon. Okay, so now we're going to test this. Make sure that everybody, the only group that's on is the first group, because if the other groups are turned on, they're on top of each other and it won't work. So command return, and I'm going to click 1. Answer was wrong, turned red. Usually red means wrong. All right, so let's just do the others. So the good part is I can come down here to, here's a trick. If you want to center something, just click that little thing right there. And I'm going to go to group A, and I'm going to copy that line of code for all my wrong answers. And then I'm going to go to group B, click, and I'm going to paste that in. Command V, and I'm going to change that from A to B. Okay, right? And I wanted D to be wrong too, so I'll go to group D, and I'll do the same thing. Click, paste, and change this to D. Now when I click on these, each one of these is going to come up red. The only one that I want to come up right is group C. So I'm actually going to do the same thing. I'm going to paste this in here. I'll change this to C, and I'll change this to green. And if I go test it, let's go over here, make sure we got it. And I were to click, see, green, red, red, red. There you go. Easy as can be, but no score was kept yet because we haven't enabled that. So to continue on, what I need to do is go back to my group here, and before it turns green, I'm going to add a line in here that's going to be SYM dot. Now if you remember the name of that function, and it was show score, so let's do show score, and we'll open parentheses, and we're going to put a 1 because we have to pass that 1 to add to the score. Okay, and I'm going to go test it. We'll go back to our, and if I click, hell yeah, it added 1. If I click any of these, it doesn't do anything. So the very last thing I need to do is I need to do the next button. Now there's two things we can do. We can do this next button, which is easy. We'll just click in these little parentheses on the click, playback, play, stage, done. You could also, if you want, when someone clicks one of these, if they get the wrong answer, you can automatically send them to the next frame. And the way you would do that would be find the group. Now you don't have to do it this way, this is just a suggestion. And you would go playback, play, stage. So that I did in group A. So if I click group A and I don't get it right and I click it, it's going to automatically take you to the next group. And if I do this, these aren't set up yet, but they're actually set up the same exact way as we did the last one. So you can copy and paste, just change the name. So if I have a group, let's go to group, we did this group right here, the regular one. Here we go, question 2. So we've got group, let's go down to group A. We could copy this. If you want A to be wrong, you could also make it right, doesn't matter. And we'll go to group A, question 2, group A, copy 2. So we're right here in this one. Boom. Click here, click, paste, and continue on. And that's it. And at the very end, it's going to give you a score. So I'm going to close this and pretend we did everything. And I'm going to move on. So I'm going to put this in the browser, and let's do answer next, and then next. Score is 1. Now I made a mistake here. I need to make this a really big one. So what I'm going to do is I'll come back. I'll drag my playhead forward to the right space. Now what happened here is that the whole box didn't change. So I'll come over here and type in 140. Hit return. So when I do this again, and I'll make a 1, next, and I'll choose this and go next, and I'll choose this again and go next, that's 3, and it says the big one, if you scored below 2, you should go back and reread the section. And that's how you do a real simple quiz. There. After we've done all this work, we need to do one last thing, and that is to publish it. So we go File, go to Publish Settings. You want to go, for this one, we're using it for an iBook. You could easily do it for the web. So we're going to do an iBook, make sure we've got it all. Publish books. We don't want it there. We're going to Go find our My Quiz. That's what we want. Choose My Quiz. Make sure it's in the right spot. There you go. Publish name is My Quiz. And just push publish. That's it. So on my desktop, so let's jump to my desktop. And we'll go wherever my quiz is. I forgot where I put that. Could be anywhere. Oh, I put it in documents. That's right. My quiz, which would be with my quiz. Click my quiz. And you'll see that the little widget's there. And that's what you put in your iBook. Boom, you're done. That's it. I'm done. I don't want to do any more.